live, just so you know.
Sorry.
So, cat's getting a little rambunctious here as we are going live. Okay, I tried to zoom in a bit more today so you guys can see a little better what we're doing. I'm not sure if it really did much. We'll see how that goes. I am running a few minutes behind. I do apologize for that. I am fighting a bit of a headache today, but we're going to try. We might not go completely until 3 today, but we'll see. Might surprise myself. You never know. Okay. Like, wow, that looks really dark on my Kindle. Forgot, I've got my screen turned down. Okay. Alright, so when we last left off, we had gotten all of our background stuff done, and we were starting to add our tissue paper on top of our color key. So now, I was originally going to put the branches in first, but the husband kind of made a good point, and I can kind of see now what he was talking about. So we'll probably keep going on the bird first, since these branches that are showing should be sitting on top of him, to give him a little bit more life there. I know I'm not going to put too much glue down to start with here. Just regular tacky glue, not sponsored gold bottle. You know, if you're a crafter, you know. Any tacky glue would probably work. Just don't use super glue. That's probably not going to go well for you. Just so you know. I mean, it would definitely stick. However, keyboard tray. Even when I'm not using the keyboard, it's gonna make its presence felt. It would probably stick the paper to your fingers, in which case, that's not gonna be a good time for anybody. So, something to keep in mind. Alright, I'm just getting some tissue paper twisted here into our little paper snakes. So that when we put the glue on, we don't have to stop and retwist. I already have them pre-cut. I tried to do 1-inch squares. It didn't quite work to be completely 1-inch. I'd cut these smaller for smaller pieces of art that I was planning on doing. So that's how we got there. Just wanted to make sure that wasn't a double. Okay, so we need a few more. Now we got the those little, I don't know, what is that? The crown or whatever, comb, those little feathers sticking up off of its head. We did the face. Now I do have a wiggle eye since the eye didn't work out quite as well as I had hoped. It's either that or I can go back in with a white gel pen, or no, I'll probably do white paint because the gel pen and the Mod Podge probably won't like each other. Right, now this twisting is something you can do ahead of time. Some colors I have some pre-twisting done, some I don't. Okay. Oh, right, I need some water. So that we might rinse the glue out of our brush. I still have my stylus sitting off to the side. Today we're going to use a toothpick just to show you that it can in fact be done. I think I want this one. So, you can get those little disposable, like, sauce cups with, like, the little lids on them. Like in the paper plate aisle at your store. Or you could just put the glue on a paper plate and just keep reusing that plate. For the duration of your project, if you so choose, don't be stingy with your tacky glue, but you know, you don't want it to be piled up too much either. But you don't want it super, super thin, because then it's going to be dry by the time you get all of your paper laid in there. Alright, now I'm going to work in small amounts. So I'm going to rinse my brush here. Try to get all of the glue out. Now these are brushes I have designated sacrificial to the glue gods, basically. So if I don't get the glue pulled out fast enough, we're okay. So let me see here about what size we need. I think we need to snip off maybe about that much. Grab my toothpick. And we are going to start laying this in. And I highly recommend stylus or toothpick, something that you can smush your piece of tissue paper down in there. It helps keep your hands a little bit cleaner. Just a bit. And I wouldn't throw these little bits away yet that you are laying off to the side. If you need to trim your paper snake to fit. Don't get rid of them yet, because they might come in handy here towards the bottom of our piece. Not a huge deal if you lose a couple. It happens. If you'd rather snip them inside like a Ziploc or something so they don't go flying halfway across the room, that's also an idea as well. I'm using smaller craft scissors to cut these. In all reality, I'd probably be better off with a slightly smaller brush. Scissors. Cuticle scissors would probably work good. Even if you have a set of, not a set, but if you have like some nail cutters that you want to sacrifice for just art, maybe they're not working so well for you for nail cutting purposes, you can also go ahead and use those to snip through. I would make sure that they were cleaned first. And sanitized before using them for art, but then once you've used them for art, I would leave them for art. It is Monday. I think it's Monday. I have to get used to this new schedule. Like I said, I'm a little fuzzy today from the headache. You just want to make sure that you get most of that, or if not, as much water as possible out of that brush after rinsing it. So I've got a little cloth here that I use to wipe my paintbrushes on. And then I'm also double wiping on this paper here. It's just a piece of printer paper, it's nothing fancy. Okay, so that guy I did snip a little small. That's why we save these little bits here. Wow, traffic's loud today. Traffic's vibrating today, unless I'm just being a little more sensitive. Now when the paper starts to get a little bit soggy from the glue, which can happen, not a big deal, you can manipulate it a little bit better into place at times. If you start to get some glue buildup on the tip of your toothpick or stylus, totally try to wipe some of that off. And right now I'm just kind of trying to merge those two ends into each other a little bit smoother. And you'll probably get some tacky glue on your fingers. That's just, it's a thing. You're working with glue. That's why I was saying do not Please do not use super glue. Nobody's gonna have a fun time with that. Trust me. This traffic. There was like no traffic when we were outside earlier. It was kind of bizarre. I was like, is it really Monday? Because this feels like Sunday traffic. Because it was late enough where there should have been traffic. But at the same time, there wasn't really any to speak of. There was a little. It seems to be coming in fits and bursts today. So I do apologize. This microphone picks up some of it, some of the more exceptionally loud vehicles, but it's been doing a little better than the Snowball did, that's for sure. Although I think the switch might have not been functioning on the Snowball for front and back. And I think it was picking up both. So. But that microphone was very old and it had outlived our expectations with it. And it was just time. It was time for an upgrade. So let's see here. This might be a little bit big. Yeah, that's alright. We'll make them work. We'll get them in there. Don't worry. So when you're first getting a new piece in, it might be a little, or might feel a little uncooperative. It's alright. Don't panic. We'll get them in there. Now, if you do feel like your segments of paper are a little bit long, like that first one, maybe come back in and snip the next one a little bit shorter. Don't worry about it if it's already down. We'll just add a little bit more tacky glue when we get to the next area. And this tacky glue dries mostly clear, so I'm not too worried about it. Like, you'll see a little bit of gumming on there, maybe some little shiny spots where it came up on top of the tissue paper. That's fine. Don't sweat that. We're gonna cover the top in Mod Podge anyway, so that'll all even out. So don't worry. It's all good. And this is what the flamingo, sunrise, sunset, whatever you want to interpret it as, is going to be. That's going to be a large project that I'm going to have to record because the canvas is bigger than our current recording area, streaming area, so I'm going to have to use a different camera, I think, to record that. We found our other camera. I think I have to get an arm to put it on, though, in order to be able to do that. But hey, we have a second light panel that we can set up, so at least the lighting should be somewhat decent, I hope. So I'm going to leave that small gap there. I might build up our branch there to give it more of an appearance of sitting on top of it. But we'll get there. All right. Make sure we're good and dry here before we dive back into our glue. And tacky glue can dry, not necessarily dry, but it can get a skin on it. Not super quick, but I would probably quicker than Elmer's, probably, or like your school glue when it's thicker. So I only have a little bit out in my cup. Or if you're using a plate, just put a little bit out at a time. I would personally recommend doing a coated plate if you're gonna put the glue out on that. Just so it doesn't soak into an uncoated plate faster than you are expecting. Yeah, I actually put a little more down on here than I was wanting to, but that's all right. Now, if you don't want to do the plate at all, or a cup, you probably could just squeeze it out and then onto the surface from the bottle directly, and then just use a brush to spread it as well. That would also be an option. Alright, I've got all kinds of paint in this one. This isn't our original painting towel. I still need to wash that original painting towel. We have not washed that guy in forever. And we totally need to. Wow. Loud traffic. Okay. Now I probably should have trimmed this guy up a little bit, but sometimes as they get a little bit glue soggy, it can get a little bit easier to scrunch into places. Now there's going to be times where you're going to more than likely need to get your fingers in the glue. I'm sorry. I know some people can't handle the touching of the glue, so I was suggesting maybe a toothpick or a stylus, but sometimes the little glue skins there. Right, we had a little bit extra glue seep up there. I just wanted to scrape that just to make sure that we were good. And that I didn't actually have a gap. Oh, don't breathe too hard. your paper will go flying. These little pieces I'm going to grab from earlier that we saved. And I'm just gonna start. Oh, and that one's gonna try to unravel on me. Nope, nope, nope. Tacky glue is definitely tacky, except it's trying to pick up the wrong piece on me here. Sometimes you just need to squish it with your finger. I would recommend squishing down flat after you get a couple of rows of your paper laid in here, if only to make sure that as you've been pushing against the other paper that's gone in, that you're not pushing it up off the surface and like getting underneath of it and like inadvertently forming like a dome situation. Can happen. And the reason why I said be generous with your glue and don't be real thin stingy unless you're doing like a piece at a time, because over here it's already starting to skin over. And we've got some ridges in between our bits, or some valleys, I guess, in between our bits of paper here. Not much, just a little. But that's also one of the reasons why I do the painting underneath, just in case. It's not all going to be shadow. Oh, we've got ads starting in 2 minutes. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, you will probably get ads. I do ask that you hang around through the ads because they do help the channel. But if you don't want to, I understand. So I say, oh yeah, I just didn't want the unfinished wood color peeking through, because I've done these without doing the under excuse me, the underpainting on them, and I have had the white of the canvas or whatever surface you're putting this on peek through, and that was a bit annoying. Now, I would recommend you get a box of toothpicks because, you know, as you go, the toothpick's gonna wear down a little bit, get all glompy with glue eventually. Or, you know, if the stylus works better for you, then use a stylus. If you have neither, maybe a thumbtack. Not a thumbtack. Those are hard to hold on to. Maybe a push pin. I wouldn't recommend a sewing needle, only because you might lose it and those are pokey. Maybe like a yarn needle. I mean, I'd say a safety pin with like the pin arm extended, but those can also be pokey. The glue in my cup is forming a skin and starting to dry. So we're probably gonna have to put some more in there soon. And I also try not to be too stingy with the glue as well. Like, you don't want to go overboard though, because then you're just going to slide around. But I also want it to soak into our paper here. Because then it makes it a little bit easier to smush together. Now, you don't have to do the paper snakes. I prefer doing the paper snakes because it helps give a little bit more texture. Oops. Elbow and desk are added again. Like, it gives it like some more ridging, because as it dries, you're gonna be able to keep that texture going. Like, it's gonna hold that snaky line work feel to it. Oh, little glue bits that I'm rubbing off the ends of my fingers. That's gonna happen. I'm working on top of a piece of printer paper. Just, you know, A, to protect your surface, in case you're working on something that you didn't think about protecting. B, so I can keep track of my pieces of tissue paper a little bit better. So I can see how many we have twisted. And where everybody's at. Okay. Alright, so we still have that little fork divot in the guy. That's fine. We will get to that shortly. Alright, so let's see about how big do we need our next pieces here before we start putting in some glue. Alright, you can always size check before you put your glue down if you want. That's fine. twist a little bit more paper here. And any twists that I don't end up using, I'll just tuck back in my Ziploc bag for later. Because you never know. If I will have a use for them later. Okay. That might be... I don't know if it's going to be quite enough because we still have the tail to finish filling in here. So I guess I'll just do a couple more. There was more in that stack than I thought there was. I like to have a few ready to go. Sometimes I will sit like a day ahead of time and twist some of the color that I'm going to be planning on using. So that way I'm all ready to go. Okay. Alright, so this guy we already kind of pre-cut there. So he's going to be sort of our example. Not sure where that one went. Now, I have found that these wood slices can be a little bit delicate as far as the bark is concerned. So keep that in mind if you're going to use them. I have had bits of them flake off. I don't know if that's, it's probably just the nature of it. I mean, we are using a piece of wood. There's a fly in here. I hope it was a fly. Something just went. It was either a fly or an atomic dust bunny. Saw the shadow. And we actually thought we were getting a fall this year. It got cool. It was like down into highs of 70. It was getting down into the low 40s at night. We're like, oh yeah. Okay, we transitioned okay to the new temperature. And now it's back up to mid 80s. Like, what? Why? What is this madness? Like, I don't understand. Alright, that's pretty dry. Toothpick. Alright. Work on getting our next bit in here. You okay? And I might have cut you a little short. If you feel like you've cut one a little short, usually just go back in with like another bit and kind of scrunch it in there. So when you see me like go like this, I'm just trying to get extra glue that I can see starting to build up. Grab the right container. And this gold tacky glue, the gold bottle, doesn't have much of a smell to it, so if you're smell sensitive, I wouldn't say it's offensive or anything. It you know, it has like the glue smell, but it's very, very light, and I'm very smell sensitive, so this doesn't affect me at all. Especially with this headache I've got going. It doesn't want to quit. Not sure if it's sinuses, which it very well could be, or if I just pissed my neck off finally. Which could also be the case. I might have slept funny. I woke up on my back, and I don't normally sleep on my back. So I have no idea how long I was there, and I normally don't sleep on my back on purpose because it makes my head hurt. So it's probably what it was. Like I actually, like I woke up at 5:30 and I'm like, my head is killing me. This is not good. So, and if like one of your ends feels like it's unraveling a little bit, just kind of, you know, retwist it the best that you can. I know it's going to be not so easy because it's a smaller piece now. Come on, friend. There we go. I need you to actually make contact with the surface here instead of just floating. Alright. We've got one more, potentially one more bits to try to squish into here. Now, it's okay if it overlaps where our, oh, bless you, kitty, where our stick is going to hang out here. Okay. Had some visible glue skin there. I just wanted to gently pull up. Alright, that looks like that's smushed together pretty good. Alright, now what kind of sizes am I looking for or at here? Alright, so that's probably going to be a little short, maybe. Okay, so we don't have to trim very much off of here. So that's probably our shortest section. So if I get you about there, yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go back up here where we've already been. Just make sure that we are good and smushed into our surface. The heck? Oh, a fuzzy. Fuzz happens in this house. How can it not? With the 4 cats. Wait, are we at 4? We've got Mr. Peabody, Ed, Cow, and Little. So yeah, 4 inside cats. We've got 2 cats that think they live here, that don't, that hang around outside. And then we've got Mr. Zuzu. And now Miss Snuffles. Her real name is Sweetie, but I can't call her Sweetie because I call the husband Sweetie sometimes, and I just can't. So I've called her Snuffles because she makes all these snuffly, snorty noises. Kind of sounds like those pigs that search for truffles. I mean, like if you've had a pug or something, then you know what I'm talking about. And I don't even know what the hell breed she is. And we've got the 3 guinea pigs. I can't really do guinea pig camera right now though, because the camera software that came with the camera I would have to use for it, so we'd be using our security camera because that's what we got. I can't bring it up on my computer to roll it into OBS right now. We had found an emulator for Windows 10, but when we replaced this computer, it came with Windows 11. So we haven't been able to find anything that will cooperate with it. And honestly, that camera wasn't the greatest, so. It's a shame because it figures we wouldn't have the ability to do guinea pig camera when these pigs are crazy. And anytime anybody walks into the room, there's at least one fussing. Like, these guys just don't sit there and sleep all day. They're a little bit more active. than the last set of guinea pigs we had. But at the same time, these three seem to somewhat get along. They have their moments, as I'm sure all do. But we haven't had to separate anybody or anything like that. So we lucked out with this crew. It does suck that I seem to be allergic to their Timothy hay. It makes me itch incredibly badly. We could try the orchard grass. Orchard grass, I think, might be a little bit more expensive, though. And I don't know if that's going to affect me either. And I don't know if they'll eat the orchard grass. They might. But it doesn't seem to affect the husband so much, so he goes in and feeds them. And does all of the hay touching. When I have to feed them, I have to put gloves on. Do I need to get her?
No, I just need her to not walk around me when I'm trying to...
We haven't leveled up to that degree yet.
Sweetie, oh my god.
I don't know if we ever will.
Oh my, sweetie, come
here. This dog will not hold still to get her harness put on to go outside. Do I need to help you grab her? She's used to just clip on the collar and go. She's not used to having to hold still.
Honestly, it looks like she used to not having anything on her.
Yeah, maybe she was just a backyard.
Yeah,
or just a kennel.
Right.
Yeah, we don't know how your mom was handling her since we weren't here to witness. Okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to rinse the glue out of the brush every time. I don't want it to sit in the brush. Zuzu. No whining. Daddy said I'll be right back. Buddy! I can't tell if you're jealous that Daddy took her out, or if you're upset that, that she's, like, missing. Bud. It's like making unhappy Zuzu grunty noises. His face is, like, up against the door. Zeus is our corgi mix. Momo was his brother, but Momo passed in I can't even remember now. It was either the very beginning of September or it was the very end of August. I think it was early September. Because it was, I think maybe a week or two before we left. See, there's Dad. It's okay. We've been having a heck of a time with this mother-in-law's dog, getting her to potty outside on the leash. She's starting to get it now. Sometimes. Though those might just be dumb luck times. But she did do a last potty when we went to bed. And she did pee this morning. when we all went out to patrol the yard together. So,
No,
We're-
sweetie.
Snuffles.
You don't go out without the collar.
Hang on. Let me grab her.
Sweetie.
Hang on. I'm coming.
No.
I'm coming.
Go.
I'm coming. Come here, Snuffs. Snuffs.
Go.
Come here. Hold on. Okay, I got her. Go ahead. Okay. Come on, Snuffles. Hey. Snuffs. Come on. Uh-oh. Why is my monitor still off? Come on. Uh-oh. Monitor? Hello? That's not the monitor plug. Did we finally done fuck the monitor? Hello? Hello? Snuffles, come here. Get in. Get in. Get in.
Here, you
My monitor went dark
Did I nudge it?
since I got up to get the dog, and it hasn't come back.
I don't know, hon. Sweetie, do you want to go outside? Last call.
No.
Okay. Well, usually want to go outside for a bit, so.
Is my mom outside with him?
No, I'm gonna be out in a second. Nothing.
No.
Yeah, I don't know, hon. All I can do is take it apart after you're done.
Well, all of my dashboard stuff and my software for running the stream was on that monitor. This is a problem. That's Elgato. This monitor has been trouble since we got it. And I don't know why. Like, maybe within a week or two after getting it would just randomly, depending on where I stepped, would like flash off with a picture. Like, it's still on. Here, look at it. Tends to be okay. These Snuffles, could you look out, ma'am? Okay. I'm gonna have to get in there from the other side. Oh, my headache did not want to be climbing underneath of my desk right now. Okay, bear with me, guys. I'm sorry. I know you all can still see what's happening because I can still see the camera view, but I can't see any of my streaming controls. What was the another cable here? Is it you? Let me see. Did that do anything? No. Okay. So that's a problem.
What?
All of my controls were on this monitor.
Uh-huh. So, can you still stream? Are you still streaming?
I'm still live because I
Then
can't.
just keep going. I can show you how to turn it off when you're done.
Okay.
It's salvageable. It's not that big of a deal. When you're done, just let me know, and I will. In fact, do I need to show you how to fix it now?
Well, I mean, I can probably just hover over and close the thing.
Well, if you click and drag any of these up to the top, like any of your screens. Yep. Okay. And you go to say this one, you put in one of these squares. It should give you a whole list of things, and you just click on whichever one you want. So in this case, you would click on... There you go. And you have another option you can click on if you want to watch something. There you go.
Okay.
When you're done, let me know, and I will try to take everything apart to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, I don't know if the cable died.
I don't know.
Because it still looks like it's on.
We'll worry about that when we're done.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Technical difficulties and all that. I apologize. See, is my glue still sticky? Kind of. So you might get some like little glue skin roly-poly guys that show up on the top there. It's fine. Like once it gets dry enough, you can gently peel those. Now, it is okay if you don't completely fill in to the very edge of your design. Like, it's not going to be the end of the world. Let me bring my... Well, nope, that's not gonna... I have to rearrange now, because now I can't just look up how I was doing it before. Okay. So, need to be able to see the chat. And everything's over there now. So, alright. That's probably... Oh, see, like I said, the bark can flake off pretty easily. Okay, so I'm going to take our red bits here. And I'm going to hold on to these little guys, because I never know I'm going to need them. I'm going to close that bag. Alright, I've got some dark brown here. We're not going to need this much dark brown. That makes me mad. It was either the port that this monitor's plugged into failed, which is... I think it's plugged into an extra USB card. I'm not certain. Or the cable died. Or the monitor just gave up. I mean, it was on sale. When we got it. Okay. So... got some fuzz in there. Alright, where's our little guy here? Was this it? I don't feel like this was it. I mean, where the heck else could it have gone? This has to be it. No, that's not it. Where'd it go? Was it this one? That's the one I just sat down, isn't it? Right. Okay. This guy looks much too... This guy's too big. Yeah. I mean, I guess we can kind of tuck him that way. I probably like exhaled and lost it. Oh well. We fixed it now, but okay, so this guy we need to cut this part. Okay, that's probably good. Now I didn't rinse our brush that time. So we're gonna try to get the angle in here. Just right. We need a little foot here, but that's not the right length for foot. Okay, think about here. It's probably where we're gonna snip. Since these were just quick placements here, I didn't rinse. I will rinse after this guy. Now, if you need to like angle it, you might have to hold part of it in place, so you're probably going to get your fingers a little sticky. All right, let me put those guys back in their bag. Okay, and I'm done with this one. Okay, I'm gonna dry off my brush here really good. And then I'm just gonna give it another drying off on the paper. That glue is still kind of working for us. I'm gonna go with a slightly lighter brown for our branch. Probably pulled more than I really needed here, but that's all right. We can put it back in the bag. And we are done. I kind of wanted the darker for the branch, but I didn't want his feet to get confused. Oh, I didn't turn on our reference image. Is this the right image? That's the butterfly. There we go. And, but I guess it's kind of like a lighter brown in the image too. So it's not terribly bad. Alright, I just want to make sure we have enough branch pieces here before we go too far. Okay. Let's see. I might have to double up in a couple of places, so it's easier to get this twisted before your fingers get completely filled with glue. That's why I'm trying to twist a little bit more than I think I'm gonna need. And I'm just going this corner that's away from me and this corner that's in front of me and going in the opposite directions. So back corner comes to me, close corner goes away from me. Doesn't necessarily have to be on an angle either. Wow, that's a thumpy car base for this Monday afternoon. Alright, so just gonna keep on going here, I guess. I'll have to keep you updated on whether or not we fix this monitor situation later today. I'm going to be doing most of my posting on Blue Sky now. Alright, let's see how that goes. Alright, so this glue is still being a little bit liquidy. I mean, there is definitely sections in my cup that are being a little bit stubborn. But we'll see. Okay. Just wanted to get enough down there, so I'm not constantly gunking up everybody here. Okay. So, let's see. You know what? Let's get this guy put in here. I'm gonna push down into the glue just to make sure we are attached. That one's got glue stuck in there on it pretty good. Okay, I think I'm gonna make this section a double if able to get away with it, which I think we can. Okay. Now this guy here, I'm gonna have to figure him out. If I can hold on to everybody here, that would be most helpful. All right. So this guy worked into there. And I'm going to take our little other friend here. And get that one smushed in here. We don't have any gaps too big that we'll have to figure out later. Okay. Make sure that's all smushed in. Sounded like a school bus. Too early for a school bus unless these kids had a half day today. Which seems like a weird thing for a Monday. Might have been a trash truck though. It is trash day. For our section of town. Now, if you find that you have to make an adjustment because of how you did something, and then you're thinking, oh, how am I going to get that other next color in there? I don't know if that's going to work. Then make the adjustment. This underpainting sketch was for us. Just so we could try to keep our shape and it didn't get too crazy out of control. It's for us. It's your personal guideline, whatever it is you're doing. You're the one that's going to know if it followed it to a T or not. When this is all said and done, if you didn't document it, nobody's going to know if you had to make an adjustment or if something wasn't quite going right or you changed your mind and decided that, you know what, I think it would work better. You're the only one that's gonna know that. Let's not spill that. And I know it seems a little loosey-goosey here, but it will firm up. It won't be as wiggly as the glue dries. And even if you do have a spot that might be a little flappy on the surface, don't sweat it, because like I said, we are going to bring the Mod Podge in here at the very end. And do a coat of that on here. And then that will help secure down any loose bits that maybe didn't get quite enough glue coverage. Like, it'll be good. It'll be fine. Don't worry. All good. Uh-oh, dropped my toothpick. That's not so good. All I was trying to do is get the excess glue off the tip. If it's starting to get too gummy and you can't get that extra glue pulled off of it, then just grab a new one. Can usually get a box of toothpicks relatively inexpensively. Like, I'm sure they probably have them at the Dollar Tree, if nothing else, or dollar store. I don't know for certain, but I would imagine they do. I mean, they sell matches, right? And if your glue dries on you on your project before you've gotten all of your tissue paper in place, just add some more glue. But that's why I try to work in smaller sections, so we don't have that happen. It's like nobody wants to waste glue, right? So I'm probably gonna have to get like a gallon of tacky glue for the flamingo project. Right now I'm still trying to work on the layout for it. I'm struggling a little bit with it. I think I'm gonna start over my layout piece. I like some of what I did, but I don't necessarily like all of it. I was trying to do like big puffy like cartoon clouds, and I don't normally do that. And I think that's what's bugging me about it, because I'm like, I'm just not fully talking to me, or what it is saying I'm not thrilled with hearing. So it's like, okay. Let's change gears on that guy. So we can make turns here. Sometimes we have to get a little creative with how we're going to do it, but we can make it happen. And if you're not fully happy with the way something laid, or if you think, no, that needs to be a little bit more, you can always come back and add another piece on top if you really need to. Okay. So now, glue on the edge of my fingernail. Okay, that should be about the right length. I think it's just about time to add some more glue here, though. More than likely. I think I've gotten all that I can out of that bit of tacky glue, and it wasn't like a whole huge amount of tacky glue that we put in there. Now I have used Elmer's before, or basic school glue to tack down. It works. It's just you have to fuss with it a bit more. I'd almost rather you get the tacky glue to start out with. I understand budgets being tight, so if your only option is your basic school glue, then just understand you're going to have to hold it in place with your toothpick a little bit longer before you move on to the next piece to keep it from moving around. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. I know this wasn't the same piece that we were testing the length with, but it's fine. It's all good. Okay. I might grab a fresh guy soon. That one end is not being great. Alright, so we've got ads starting in 20 seconds. So again, if you would hang around through the ad, I would really appreciate that. If you hear any like weird hissing noises, it's the glue bottle here. I'll try to actually do it on camera. So it's that tacky glue that starts with an A in the gold bottle with the female name of the company. Not sponsored whatsoever. that's super thick to get out of the bottle. Come on. That's probably enough for right now. I was actually a few minutes late starting because I couldn't remember where I had stashed what we were working on. I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. I'm like, what? I was like, where did I put it? Because I kept thinking I had like put it under my monitor and it wasn't there. I'm beginning to wonder if this monitor had a short in it. Or if it's just the cable. Alright, so this guy. We're going to take him to the edge of our wood bark here. And make sure you're rinsing your brush in something that's going to be just for crafting. Like, don't be using a mug that you're going to turn around and wash and drink out of. Don't do that. You don't know what kind of residues might be left. Once you use something to rinse your paintbrushes in, it's now part of your crafting catalog of supplies. And that mug is no longer in play for human consumption liquids. Same thing like if you're making paper and stuff and you're using a blender to chop up all your paper. Yeah, no, that blender now belongs to the craft stash. Maybe like go to yard sales and pick up somebody's used blender or whatever, so that way you're not sacrificing the only blender in your house that you are later going to be mad when you need a blender. And I just want to push down, make sure we are making contact with our wood slice surface to ensure that we are gonna stick. So it starts to pick up the pace a little bit once you are down to just the tissue paper section. That will depend entirely, of course, on how intricate your tissue paper design needs to be. Like our little branch here is going fairly quickly now. Our bird didn't go too slowly after we had his design figured out. Like once we got down to the adding of the paper, it was all good. Okay. And just gonna start laying this in. Now this is gonna be a little bit trickier in this section. Not so much so, like I don't want to intimidate you. It's just we're gonna have to go over top of this piece here. So we're gonna have to get it a little bit saturated in that glue there. And maybe get in there with either another toothpick or your fingernail. Just kind of hold that piece down just to get it to overlap a little bit. It's not so bad. Now, could we have just left it at the painting and just did a more detailed, better painting? We could have. But I wanted to go this route for something different. And I had all this tissue paper just sitting here from previous tissue art projects that I have done. It's like, you know, I want to get back to this. So here we are. Actually, I thought we had too much paper twisted. Joke's on us. I don't have enough. Alright, so actually want to make this a little bit thicker. It's not raised up as much as I was hoping for. Come back into our glue here. And I'm just gonna lay a little bit more glue on top of the pieces that we have placed already. And I'm just gonna take this up to the upper edge here of our bark. Okay. Wipe that glue off that I got on the top edge of that. Okay. Probably should have twisted some more paper ahead of time. I did not. Now I'm kind of like, yeah, probably would have worked out a little bit better. All right. And we'll lay this stuff in here for our next segment. Little glue crumbles. The glue crumbles are going to happen, like the little glue skin, because you're going to get little bits of glue on the edge of your fingers. Just try to, like, rub them off of your fingers, not over your project, that's all. And you should be fine. That's not too bad. Okay. So before we do the next round of gluing here, let us get our few more bits of paper here twisted. So is it going to be a dead ringer for our inspiration photo? No. Like, I don't have the feet quite in the right spots. I turned mine a little bit. And you could try to make it more exact. Like, you could do the background in blue if you so choose. You could have a blue sky. I'm just going to go with green since it's going to be like a Christmassy ornament type thing. I'm just going to have it be like green tree leaf-esque feeling in the background. And I'm sure if you wanted to, you could probably take some white acrylic paint. And I wouldn't water it down too much, but you could probably get a little bit on like a toothbrush, a craft toothbrush, and flick some on there for like snow if you really wanted to. That is probably more than enough. We don't have that much further to go on this guy, at least for the branches. Now, for the backgrounds, I'm just gonna smush our bits of paper in there. I might tear them up into slightly smaller pieces so they're easier to smush. But I'm not gonna do any kind of like fancy like snail shell or flower rolling of the paper snakes here, just because it'll be a little bit simpler and it will be a little bit easier to getting everybody covered in here. Okay. Alright. I don't know if we really need a third full length piece in here, but that's not so bad. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we got one more branch to fill in here. I'm gonna overlap the glue on this section here onto that edge of this branch here, just so we have a slightly easier time attaching. That drip of glue didn't even make it all the way down to the rest of the glue before it started to get a skin form on it. It's kind of funny. Alright, dry the brush. So we want the brush dry before it even thinks about touching glue again. Now we might have to... Oh no, maybe not. So we might have to cut a little guy here for that top edge to work out a little bit better, but maybe not. Alright, we will have to cut. We don't have to, but I'm going to. Alright, so then this little piece that we cut off, I am going to grab them back here. Just kind of smush them into that little crevice there. All right. We are looking pretty good with this guy so far. I'm going to take our extra branchy bits and we're going to put those back in our bag here. Now I have to find the color green that I was going to use for the background, because it's not quite... Oh, is it that dark green? might have been the dark green. Red we're kind of done with. Did I not have any? Oh. Did I not? This is why we make sure our bags are closed. Because then I flip the bag, then we get little paper twisties everywhere. Okay. Don't think it was this. Was it? No. Yeah, maybe. Let me see if these look like they're the same color green. They might not. Let me see if it's close enough. This is the one from the bag. Okay, those are the same color. Now I was concerned because I need the untwisted version. I did drop them for what we are doing next here. Okay, so I'm gonna do a new technique here. Not really technique. So I've got my little 1-inch pieces. I'm just gonna tear into slightly smaller pieces. That my hands suddenly want to stick to now. Alright, so we're just gonna rip up into some smaller pieces. Now, here's where we're gonna start using a bit more glue, potentially more frequently. Not sure if this will take up a bit more paper. Depends on how layered up we do it. Alright, so we're going to go back into our glue. And I'm going to lay our glue in between our two branchy friends right here. Now, these two should be pretty anchored at this point. Should be. If they're gonna slide around on you, if you're using the school glue, then maybe wait for that section to dry a little bit more. With the tacky glue, though, you seem good to go. Alright, so I'm gonna take one of our bits here, and I'm just gonna like tuck it in here into our crevice between our two branchy friends here. And as I'm going, I'm just gonna kind of like smush it in on itself. So I want it really packed in there into that junction where they meet. So that way we don't have any gaps. And then, whoop, if I don't exhale too hard, lay the next piece in here and do the same thing. It's gonna scrunch and smoosh. And we're just gonna pack it in there as best as we can without our toothpick ripping it out. So this is why I kind of ripped our pieces into slightly smaller chunks here. And I am going to get this just kind of worked all into there to cover our background here. So I want to make sure that all of our lighter green is covered up there. Now if you get a spot that your background color is still trying to take over and show through, just add a little bit more glue there on top. And then add another little tiny piece of paper. And smushing all of this down into place should help give this particular shade a more like leafy texture. In theory. That probably could have been a little bit smaller there. And since it's tissue paper, the glue will make it a little bit soggy, a little bit faster. So you can just kind of smush everybody together with its layers being folded in on top of itself pretty easily. I would still work in smaller sections with this part. I know it'll go a little bit faster than if you were just doing the little paper twists. But if you drop a piece in a section that you weren't ready to work on. Might get a little messy, so it's definitely tempting to spread the glue out further in just a tiny little area. Of course, it's a little bit difficult when your implement of choice is getting a little gummy. So you might want to have a couple that you can rotate through. Maybe let the glue dry on one while you are using another. Now I want my branches to be in front of my dark green background. But if you want them to overlap, that's a you decision. This was either a salt or pepper shaker that we just decided to keep these in. The holes were big enough to get the toothpicks out through the holes, so because the box kept imploding on us. And then they kept spilling everywhere, and we're like, you know what? We're doing this. Now, if you wanted to layer in 2 different shades of green, for if you want this like tree leafy background look, you could do that as well. Sorry, I just wanted to tack that piece down to make sure anybody that gets tacked on top of them actually gets tacked down. Other one. Okay, so we're gonna grab the fresh one now. And start to get this guy smushed on in here. So that's another reason why I don't want to work in too big of a section with getting the glue down, because if you have a bigger piece, it might swallow more glue than you were ready for it to swallow up. Sometimes you just gotta get the fingers in there. Get it properly smooshed into place. Sometimes just gotta manhandle it. I don't really have a crafty flamingo. We have our needle felting flamingo. I guess we'll use our fall flamingo, our pumpkin zombie flamingo today. We have painty flamingo and we have needle felty flamingo. But this is more of a everything except for needle felting rolled into one. We're painting, we're crafting. I do not have stream avatars running today. I actually tend not to use stream avatars on art days, since sometimes we will reuse the art footage for doing sped up videos on the YouTube channel for someone that doesn't want to sit through each detailed session. Don't know if we're gonna do that for this one. I mean, we could. Now, no particular rhyme or reason for how I'm laying these in here, except for the fact that I'm just trying to no, let go, get them scrunched in here up against their friends. I should probably use a little bit smaller of a piece, actually. And just to make that go in a little bit easier. They will smush a little bit better when they are smaller here. Okay. This bit of glue is starting to dry now. It's kind of funny. It's like I don't realize how much the glue was starting to dry until I get fresh glue. And I'm like, oh yeah, that did have a bit of a skin forming on it. Because the new glue comes out real easy. Alright. Got a little guy here. If you're having trouble grabbing your paper, you can always use some craft tweezers. or just a pair of tweezers that you have picked up from the drugstore that you have designated as now crafty tweezers. So I don't want to lose our points on our little birdie feathers here. So I am trying to smush that in as carefully as we can. Sometimes that is easier said than done. Sorry, I didn't realize my big old head was getting into the shot so much there. Okay. Probably get one more small bit in here. We're gonna need some more glue in here now. It's probably going to be the hardest spot for us to get the glue in around, or the paper. Not necessarily the glue itself. Hey, Zorts! What's up? You're up early? Or I don't know, it feels early. Blah. Party's over. Well, it wasn't much of a party. Russell and I have to figure out what's gone wrong with my second monitor. Don't you just love technical difficulties that happen in the middle of a stream that just throw you for a loop? I'm very thrown off. This monitor's been a little weird since we got it. Shortly after I got it, it seemed to flash off and on. We weren't sure why it started. It just kind of randomly started. And then we thought, oh, well, maybe I pushed the desk funny. So maybe like a cable got weird. Or maybe a connection got weird. But then last night, I walked over to my desk. Like, our floors aren't level. Sometimes you step on one section of the floor and like something will shake on a desk across the room. So we're like, oh, okay. So last night, I walked over. Everything seemed fine. Pulled my... I have like a t-shirt material kind of overshirt that I wear over my tank tops. And I grabbed it off my chair to put it on, and it flashed off and flashed on. I was like, what? I didn't even sit down. It's like, okay. And lately, at times, it seems like it has flashed off and has stayed off a little bit longer as time has been going on. And I'm like, this is really fucking stupid. Like, why? What? Why? There's no reason for this. During stream, we were about an hour into stream today. Russell was going to take the dog out. He was standing on the other side of my desk because it's like an L shape, so we have the bend for the L near our door. He was standing there trying to get one of the dogs to cooperate to get in their harness. As she was so excited about going out, she wouldn't hold still. And the monitor flashed off as he was going out the door, and I'm like, okay. It hasn't come back on. And like, all of my screens were set up on this second monitor for streaming. OBS was on this screen. Twitch dashboard was on the screen. Everything was on this screen. So I'm trying to dick around under the desk to see, well, did a cable come loose? Nothing seemed loose. Now, husband's like, no, it's okay. He goes, we can get everything back on the other monitor using the weird Windows 11 layout thingy, where if you drag something up to the top, you can get like all these weird templates where you can have multiple windows spread out, which I hate that. It irks the shit out of me. But it's making do. So I've got those screens to my side. So I'm still using Kindle for chat, to view chat. But I don't know what happened. I think we had to get a special cable or an adapter or something for this monitor, because Windows 11 has like an HDMI port and a display port or something, and I don't remember what we were using. I don't know if the cable just died. I don't know, man. I don't think it's the monitor. This monitor was brand fucking new when I got this desk. It's not even a year old. It is not even a year old. So I don't know. So now I've got like, I think a backlit black monitor in front of me. I think it's on. I'm not certain. The husband did have to install a USB card. I'm not saying this right. He had to install extra USB ports on this computer because there weren't enough, because everything I was using was USB plug-in. I don't know, man. I don't know if it's plugged into that. I don't know if it's plugged into something else. Nothing else sounds like it's stopped functioning, so maybe it's not that. He's got to figure it out when we get done today. I was already fighting a headache, trying to make sure it didn't become a migraine. I got so spoiled while we were away. I had some background headaches while we were gone. And I think the night that we rolled into Key West, I was starting to get a shitty one that was trying to turn migraine. So we kind of ate dinner and went back to the hotel. And didn't do much that night, but I got spoiled with not having as many put me out of commission headaches while we were gone. This one I'm struggle busting through. This one's leaving me feel like floaty and disconnected, which sucks. So did you ever have to go help your sister, or did they not end up needing you? I didn't find out the conclusion of that since I had to bail. They did need you. I lurked for a while and then I had to go do something. So right now we are just smushing our background color into play. There's a tiny speck, I think, of light green shining through on that edge of feather, but you know what? At this point, I think I'm just gonna roll with it. So yes, now I don't know if the monitor died or if it was a cable. If it's the monitor, I'm gonna be real fucking pissed. Because while I'm making do for right now, I don't have the funds to replace the monitor. So my mom's chicken drawer tart went off very well. It was very well received. The stickers were, even though it gave us dimensions on the stickers, they were a little bit smaller than what we expected, but that's okay. She's already up to 5 stickers on her chart, trying to get a free rooster statue out of us. I think we're shooting for next November to go take her back to sea, like maybe mid-November, before Thanksgiving, essentially. To let her go see my brother for a few more days and her other sister while we dick off over to SeaWorld and the DoubleTree there. We love that DoubleTree property. It is so nice. It's huge. They've got 2 pools, a conference center. They have their own little grab-and-go convenience store on property. They've got fire pits all over the property. They're pet-friendly. That's how we ended up there. We won't be traveling with the dogs, but it was lovely. And we're also planning maybe 3 years from now, maybe 5 years from now, going down to the Keys the week before Christmas. So I can see the Christmas lights down there and everything all decorated, because that's another bucket list trip for me. and be back in time to spend Christmas. So we might do 2 nights in Key West and then a third night in the Keys themselves, because there's a bunch of funky shops that we wanted to check out down there that we've not had the time to check because it's an 8-hour drive from where my brother lives to get down to Key West. So it's a long day being in the car. And for some reason, the drive down seems like it takes for fucking ever. Plus, we had a sheriff's officer following right behind us for like an hour of our drive on the way down. So we were like glued to the speed limit. Not that we speed generally, we don't, we try not to, but we were like terrified of committing even the smallest speed infraction. Like we didn't even want to go like 3 miles over because we're like, we're from out of state. I don't know how ticket happy they are down here, and the section we were going through was part of a projected key deer, there we go, get them in the right order, key deer preserve, where they strictly enforce 35 miles an hour as your max speed going through that island. And at night, like there's like signs everywhere, photo enforced, so they've got cameras everywhere speed checking people. And because those deer are endangered, it's like 17 miles, I think, where they've got deer crossing signs. It might be a little bit more than that now, but just signs everywhere, photo enforced, strictly enforced speed. And this dude was like right on our ass the whole way down. Like the cars in front of us had taken off. He didn't try to pass us, so there was opportunity for him to, and he didn't. And we're like, okay. So we were kind of nervous, right? Because our car is not in the greatest shape. There's a huge, not huge, but there's like maybe a 4-inch like slice cut jagged edge in the back of our bumper where somebody was backing out and we backed out and we hit bumpers and it cracked it. You know, and so we're like, easy targets, right? So we're like, shit. And at night it's 25 miles an hour, because if you hit one of those deer and kill it, your ass is grass. Basically, you're in a lot of trouble. We have yet to see any. The past 2 times we've drove through, I think I saw one once, and that was years ago, where they were like right up next to the road. But that'll be a fun trip to jet down there. It was funny because it took us like 3.5 hours, it felt like, to get from Florida City down to Key West. It took us like 2.5 hours to drive out of there. I'm like, why is this going so much faster on the way home? It's not like the road's different on the way back, because it's 1 lane in each direction for portions of it. There's other portions where it's 2 lanes in each direction, but not very many. And there's a few designated passing spots, but they try to keep speed demons from being too speedy down there because of how narrow the road is, if there's an accident that requires both lanes shut down, ain't nobody going nowhere. It was crazy. Unless there just wasn't as much traffic leaving. It was morning, so could have been part of it. I'll tell you though, man, those drivers around the Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Homestead area, like that whole stretch in there, on the turnpike. Ooh, they are aggressive. Oh my god. They don't even look. They just go. Like they're just crossing lanes and like fingers crossed and like get out of my way, bitch. And they just wow. We saw people on like the far right, like going across one, two, three, four lanes of traffic without even looking. It seemed like they were just going, and we're like, oh my god, our asses were clenched so hard watching that. Like there was a few people in front of us were like, what you doing, man? Blinkers, guys, blinkers. I know it's Florida, man, but come on. Give me some indication of what you might be thinking about doing. I know we're all a little sun-baked down here, but work with us out-of-towners, please. We actually saw we saw about, was it 3 or 4? We had 4 Cybertruck sightings in Florida alone. And I'm not sure if it was 4 different ones or if we saw one twice. Because we saw 2 different ones in Key West itself. We saw another one driving through the Keys on our way down. But we're not sure if the one that we saw in Key West was the same one on just 2 different days. And we saw another one on the turnpike driving. Come on. Get over there. But it's actually faster to get to Orlando than it is to get to my brother's house. Because of where he's located. He's on the west coast of Florida there. Kind of near the Tampa area. Why are you gonna struggle bus me now, huh? I will say it was kind of weird. I'd never had so many comments on my hair before. So many people like, oh, I love your hair. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, I love your hair. And I'm like, has nobody seen anyone with pink hair? I mean, we're in the weird capital of the world here. I was kind of surprised. Yeah, one guy's like, oh, I love your hair. It's so fun. And I had pink Crocs that kind of matched, not to a T, but were similar in color to my, you can still kind of see the color in my hair. It hasn't completely come out. It's starting to grow out, but you see, yeah. So it's kind of like this weird, like, hot pinky color. And I was like, okay. Though I will say, I did not see that many people down there this time with colored hair. But it's not like it's that uncommon. Like our server at the one bar that we went to that has decent food that we like. Husband loves their BLTs, so we made it a point to go back there, and their burgers were pretty good too. Like the one server had like rainbow hair. She called herself Sparkles, and we're like, okay. Like we had her on 2 different occasions. And I'm like, I saw a couple people. Maybe off season doesn't have that many differently ambulance. Sorry. That many differently colored hair people? I don't know. I was like, why am I getting so much attention for my hair for random strangers? It's not like we were in a store and they were like, oh, hey, I love your hair. Like when we were checking out. No, this was like random people on the street. I was like, okay. It was kind of weird for me. Because the last time we were down there, nobody batted an eye at my hair. And that was in January. Very strange. Very strange. My Kindle keeps reconnecting me to the chat room. I don't know why. My Kindle just said, welcome to the chat room. I'm like, we've been here the whole time, Mr. Kindle. I don't know what you're doing. But they have a tour train. Like it's a tram, basically. They call it the Conch tour train, but it's a tram that's kind of shaped like a train that they do their historic tours on around town. But they do a special one for Christmas where they drive you around for like an hour to look at all the differently lavishly decorated places, and I was like, I want to do that. And then I read more about it, and it's like, oh, they give you special glasses. I don't know if it's like 3D glasses or something, and I'm like, what? Do you need like special glasses for? They looked like 3D glasses. There's a maximum of like 49 people per tour group. So that's how many the tram cars hold in total. And then it's like, oh, for going around looking at the lights and caroling, and I'm like, oh, you're not just gonna like play some music, you're gonna encourage people to sing. Okay. Now, I'm not against people singing Christmas songs. I'm not. I'm not that much of a Grinch. However, it is a kid-friendly tour, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. It's just that I'm getting more and more sound sensitive. And while I could wear my noise canceling headphones, earbuds that I had to pick up for our last trip down there, because some of the places have live music, and the live music gets a little bit much for my ears with how bassy it is. And I had to wear them the one day we were at lunch because we were there when music started. That's fine. I'm just going to work with what I need to work with. But I didn't want to have to do that on a tour that I'm paying almost $40 a person to go do for an hour. Like, their historic tours, like, probably about an hour and a half. So I'm like, okay, 36 something, still a little much for that, but that's okay. For just an hour though, I was like, you know what? I'd rather just walk around at my own pace and see the Christmas lights and take some video of it on my own. I think I'd rather do that. So, we're talking about planning a trip at some point. Not this December, obviously. And not next year. We were going to try to roll it into when we took my mom back to see my brother. I was like, oh, so-and-so, like your sister and her husband, they're there during Christmas, right? They only go back to New Jersey during the summer. My mom goes, oh no. I'm like, what? No, they go back to New Jersey for Christmas and stay with their kids. And I'm like, seriously? When do they leave? Like the 12th of December? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. So they're like gone like the whole fucking month. I'm like, well, fuck. That fucks that plan. So that's why we are doing SeaWorld when they put their Christmas decorations up in November. While we drop her off with my brother and my aunt. Because I can only take so much family time. I'm not big on sitting around staring at a wall, wasting my time while people dick around, and I'm not that huge of a fan of that particular aunt. So I don't really have anything to say. It would just be Russell and I both just kind of sitting there staring. So we don't really get the warm, fuzzy family points spending time that other people do. It taxes both of us greatly. So I'd rather just drop my mom off, let her get her warm fuzzies from spending time with them, and us go do our thing, since we're going to be in the area anyway, and make the most out of it. My mom's seen SeaWorld at Christmas, so she doesn't care. I think she saw it when she was traveling with her other sister from New Jersey, and they would come down and see my other cousins, the other sister's kids that were living down there at the time. My aunt used to, that particular aunt used to work for Spirit Airlines and would get like free fly passes every so often. So my mom has flown more than me, but now my mom's like, oh, I'm not flying anywhere. So she's had enough of the flying nonsense, because my brother was like gonna buy her a plane ticket the one time to come out and see him, and he's like, I'll pick you up, and she's like, oh no, I'm not flying anywhere. So that's how we got roped into driving her, which means we have to put our Virginia trip off for a while. Even though we weren't going to be in Virginia very long, we were only going to be there like a night, if not two, at the most. We now have to wait on that. So, but there's something that we're both definitely allergic to here. It's hit us like a ton of bricks since we've been back. It's horrible. We did not feel like this the entire time we were gone. And we have just felt absolutely shitty since we've been back. Which really sucks because we're stuck here for the unforeseeable future. Because my mom is refusing to move out of state. Even though the allergy conditions are fucking with her as well and her balance and making it harder for her to be steady on her feet. She's like, no, I'll have to get an apartment here. And I'm like, Mom, you can't live on your own. She's like, well, I'm not leaving your father. I'm like, Mom, I hate to tell you this, but he kind of doesn't get a say in the matter now. And she's like, no. So we can't do anything about leaving this state until such a time comes that she's no longer with us. She's like, well, now I feel bad because you're basically waiting around. And I'm like, we have a few things we have to do first before we can move anyway. But kinda. Not gonna lie. But if you don't want to leave, then that's all there is to it. That's the way it goes. I just hope I get some serious brownie points for this somewhere down the line. Because her and I have not had the greatest relationship. And when she moved in, and after my dad passed away, we'd been talking about stuff, and we got around to about the threatening to throw me out if I got pregnant. She goes, what? I don't remember that. I'm like, there's no way you don't remember that. There's no way. And then she's like, oh, wait, I might remember that. I was just joking. I'm like, you weren't joking. When people joke about stuff, they say it with like a smile or a smirk on their face. You know, they've got like a twinkle in their eye. No, you had none of that. You had an angry, sour look on your face, and you totally fucking meant it. Don't even. But because of a promise I made my dad, here we are. And she has helped us with some things, and I don't know if it's her trying to make up for past things. That I'll never know the real answer to. So, oh, I got some new shampoo that's key lime flavored, and I love it. The only thing is, scented, I guess would be the better word there. We're not eating the shampoo. The only thing is that it really rips the color, the pink color, out of my hair. Like the tips of my hair are starting to go like light baby pink. And almost down to the bleach color. And it's kind of funny too. I was surprised I got so many people commenting on my hair because like Russell helped me do it. Like he cut my hair. Not the greatest haircut, but it was free and he didn't do too bad of a job. And we just used like a home dye kit. We had to do it twice though. The way he did it, the bleach didn't fully take, and I know I wasn't supposed to do the bleach that close back to back, but it was really super splotchy in one section in the back. He's like, no, I gotta fix this. So then we used the first kit's bottle for the first dye pass. And I'm like, are you sure you got up in here? My hair's very strange when it comes to the hair dye. It won't always take it. And it won't take all of the colors. Like, we tried to do blue, and I don't know if we just fucked it up. Like, I tried to do this, like, aqua teal color. It washed out within, like, 3 weeks. It was practically gone by the time we went on our trip. And I was like, really? This is dumb. But the fucking pink? The pink and the red, man. It doesn't leave my hair. Like, it'll get lighter in sections, but it never completely goes. It really stains my hair. So it's like, oh, semi-permanent, it'll probably wash out with like in 50 washes. No, I will still have pink dye in my hair this time next year if I don't re-dye it and refresh the color. It will still be there. And you'll see how much my hair has grown out by how far down where it had been initially dyed at my hairline. And I'm like, really? But the blue and purple vanished so fast. We'll probably end up refreshing my hair. I don't know, maybe in January. And then maybe next October. So I'm trying to wait till November. I know that hurricane season still encompasses part of November, but I'm hoping that if we make travel plans for like mid to late November, we won't be dodging storms like we were this time. And I know it's a risk. And I do suggest if you are going to travel during hurricane season, to hurricane prone areas that you do get travel insurance. We were thinking about getting travel insurance, but I think the hotel's policy was like, unless there's tourist evacuations, we're holding you to your reservation. So we were like, well, maybe we can just pay a small fee and change our reservation date if it comes to it. And any fee changes if it comes to it. So, I mean, we were fully aware of what we were getting into. And they were quite a walk for us, since they were at the end of the main road, but we loved that hotel pool so much. You okay? You're gone for a while.
Yeah.
So with this still... Did you plug this monitor into that USB card?
I do not know. We're going to have to look. I can't do anything until you're done.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it's the card that died. I think
no. If the card died, you wouldn't be running anything right now.
Yeah.
Probably a plug or something. We'll look.
I'm just mad. Alright. So we are just working on getting our background in here. What time is it anyway? Okay. So I was almost beginning to think we were going to get this guy done today, but we probably won't. Even doing the smushing takes a little bit of time, but we've made definite progress on him. For sure. Still got our hole nice and clear there for where our hanging string is gonna go in. And we're just using toothpicks today because I wanted to show that you don't have to have any kind of fancy stylus or anything. You know, go ahead and use what we've got in that respect. And if your toothpick starts to get too gunkied up with glue or whatever, just go ahead and grab a fresh one. Get a box of toothpicks pretty much anywhere. I'm not positive, but I think you can get them at the Dollar Tree. If not, most likely a supermarket. And this isn't any kind of special tissue paper at all that I'm doing this with. This is like gift wrap tissue paper. That's all this is. It's not the bleeding tissue paper. We don't need that fancy shit for this. Just regular old, like, gift bag tissue paper will work just fine. I suppose you could use cray paper, but it's going to be real wrinkly because of the texture on it. That would be an experimental thing. It should tack down just fine though. You know, when your toothpick's not trying to sabotage you. Alright. So we are just laying these little bits of ripped tissue paper into our glue that we brushed down into place. And then we are just sliding them around into position with our toothpicky friend here. If you've got a stubborn piece that doesn't want to lay down, don't stress it too much. Because like I said, we're going to come back in with that final layer of Mod Podge when we're all done. And that'll take care of any flyaway guys that aren't wanting to cooperate. But yeah, I decided I wouldn't be able to handle other people singing and kids screeching Christmas carols for like an hour. So I was like, you know what? I'll just walk around. That's fine. I am so excited for dinner, you guys. I'm starving. When am I not starving? I wasn't starving when we were in Key West, but we ate. And I didn't gain any weight because of all the walking we did. And there was a place not that far from the hotels, a couple blocks, that did homemade ice cream. They had some really good key lime ice cream. Russell loved their, I think it was amaretto coffee. I think. That was some good shit. A wonderful milkshake. And a very large milkshake, too. But this week kicks off, I think it kicked off yesterday, actually, their Halloween celebrations. Wait, no, isn't that too soon? No, you know what? I think they don't necessarily line up completely with Halloween night, so it's like Halloween for adults down there right now. They've got some kid-friendly things, but like they had a zombie bike ride. I think that was last night, where everybody decorates. Anybody can join the parade. Visitors, locals, whatever. You just need a bike. And they decorate it with like little lights, like LED, like Christmas light kind of things, like the battery packs and stuff. And then everybody dresses up in costumes and dresses like zombies. And then they ride halfway across the island down to one of the waterfront parks. And then they have a huge party. There was the official kickoff was actually the Goombay Festival. That started on Friday and Saturday, which was kind of like a Bahamian street fair. Kind of, they had like a Junkaroo band, and they had a little parade, and there's like all kinds of vendors and just food stalls everywhere. They had like amusement park rides at the one end. Kind of like a county fair, but street version. Music playing. All that. That's fun. We went to that the one time. They had just stalls everywhere into a section of the island they call Bahama Village. But we left before the real Fantasy Fest stuff kicked off. That just kind of happened to overlap with our last weekend there. Not this past trip, but a different trip. But this is the week of definitely, I mean, you can definitely see some stuff that you can't unsee, but this is the main week for it. I don't know what this year's theme is. They usually have a theme. I think the one year we were there, the theme was tutus. So like everybody had all these tulle multicolored tutus on. They had one of the cameras set up outside Sloppy Joe's bar, and I think it was Sloppy Joe's camera that somebody else is hijacking the feed on and putting it on their channel because it's at the same angle, and I can't see them allowing somebody else's camera to set up there. That there was a guy walking down the street holding a drink and like a tuxedo G-string. Or like a tuxedo printed Speedo. Maybe that would be a better descriptor. I don't recall that he had a shirt on in the snapshot that somebody had taken off the camera. And I was like, okay. Right. So, they have like, I think, a family-friendly event at one point during the week too, and then I think there's a Halloween pet parade for Fantasy Fest where you can dress up your pets, and then they have them, you know, paraded around. And then there's the adult parties that you definitely need to be an adult to attend, because they do body painting, at least for the girls. I don't know if, I don't think the guys can get away with it. Where the girls, if they have the body paint on at some of the parties, can basically be topless, as long as the body paint is covering things. And I'm not talking like, oh, they just painted over top of a bikini. No, no. I've seen photos. I've seen video. No. There ain't nothing under that body paint. So, definitely not family friendly with those parties. But they usually shut the street down for those parties, and the cops kind of keep those party goers contained within a certain block radius. They use their street parade fencing to corral them into the street because they shut it down, and they'll have like tents set up. And like the different bars will have like tents and stuff extended out into there, and you have to have special wristbands to get in and all that stuff. But man, they charge through the nose at the hotels during Fantasy Fest and Christmas. I saw one hotel price for like Christmas Day, because Russell and I really don't care where we celebrate Christmas all that much. And the one hotel was like $800, and I was like, oh my god, are you fucking serious? I was like, no, I can't afford that shit. That's for one night, by the way. That wasn't for the entire week. That was one night. I was like, oh my god, no. Alright, we need some fresh glue here. Alright. That little glue skin crumbles everywhere. We lucked out. We didn't have that many cruise ships in town while we were there. I think there was supposed to have been one the day we rolled into town, and I don't know if they actually showed up because of the storm. Because the port of Key West, where the cruise ships come in and out, they don't have tugboat assistance like some of the larger ports do. They have pilot assistance to help them navigate the channel because of the reefs and everything, but they don't have tug assistance. So if they can't get off the pier on their own, they're kind of stuck. Which happened to a smaller cruise ship one time, where the wind was so strong. They tried to get off the pier, and I was watching this on one of the cruise port cameras down there. They sort of got off the pier, but the wind was so hard, they weren't strong enough to fight the wind, and they got pushed back into the pier and got drug along the side of it and did some damage to the side of the vessel. I was like, oh fuck. So they had to overnight and pay extra fees for overnighting. I don't think it was taking on water, but it definitely did some scraping to the side of it. It was one of those smaller, like, extra... That was not necessary, Mr. Truck. It wasn't necessary, all that loudness. They had to... like an extra luxury cruise ship. So... Oh, if anybody is still using Facebook, or if you have family members that are still using Facebook, watch those ads and maybe educate them that just because you got an ad for something on Amazon at a certain price doesn't mean that Amazon is where that ad came from. Because the mother-in-law called us the other day about, oh yeah, I put this in my shopping cart. I need you to buy it. Loretta said it would be good for me. That's her other sister that she's traveling with. She's like, I'm gonna get this scooter for like $65. I'm like, what? The mother-in-law has tipped a e-tricycle, like like an e-bike, but a tricycle, twice, and ripped her leg open or her arm and had to have stitches and shit because she was going too fast. I'm like, you ain't fucking getting a scooter. You can't stay on 2 wheels or on 3 wheels. Like, you're gonna stay on 2. Because I'm picturing, like, you know, the little rental scooters that you'll see around towns sometimes. I'm like, what? No. Walk. You need the exercise. So, Russell's looking at her cart, and he goes, there's nothing in your cart saved. And she's like, yeah, no, it's there. And he's like, no, it's not. He goes, what was this thing called? When you click on the item in your cart, it should take you to where the item is, and there should be a descriptor of the item. And they're like, there isn't. Russell's like, no, there has to be. And he's trying to get them to understand. And I'm like... Then he finally got them to read off the website at the top in the search bar. And it was something Amazon. He goes, that's not Amazon. If it was actually Amazon, it would be in your cart that I could see because we were logged into her Amazon account. Because of Prime, we use it. So he's like, no. He's like, you're getting scammed. He goes, stop clicking on these Facebook ads. If it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. So educate your people, especially those that might not be so technologically savvy. I've had that happen too and found that out the hard way. I didn't buy anything, but there was like this giant chicken for like a ridiculously low price that I was like, oh, look at this, Russell. Except it wasn't Amazon, it was Tractor Supply, and I was like, oh, let's see how much it is before we go down there and see if it's available in store. And I was getting like the runaround of trying to see if it was in stock or online only. And then I realized it wasn't actually Tractor Supply, it was a spoof website trying to scam people out of money. And I was like, okay. But his mom is not the most tech savvy, so she couldn't seem to figure out on her own that this was not the real thing and was like arguing with us about it. We're like, no, this is not real. We have the Amazon account two-factored because she has fallen for scams before about having to buy like Xbox gift cards to do something. And we're like, no. She's had to have credit cards replaced before because she compromised the numbers by handing them out. And I'm like, and we let you travel alone? And your sister didn't even figure it out either. I was like, we let you two go out into the wilds? No. And then she was trying to buy some kind of special tea. She loves her herbal remedies. She's like, oh no, I've been looking at this tea for a while and I finally want to get it. $30 for tea. Like, $30? What the fuck is this tea? Russell's like, you really want to spend $30 on tea? And she's like, well, it's special tea. It's sumac tea to help with my diabetes. He's like, eat less sugar. That'll help your diabetes. And then she's like, well, it'll help with inflammation. I'm like, what's wrong? That you need to take tea for inflammation. What's wrong that you're not telling us? Nothing. Russell's like, she's just old. And I'm like, no, you're not getting sumac tea. And plus, we don't know if this is going to interact with any of your other medications that you're taking. Russell's like, you need to talk to your doctor before I'm going to okay you getting this. He's like, no. You have to talk to your doctor before I'm going to approve you getting this. He's like, no. I'm like, isn't sumac poisonous? Because I've only heard of poison sumac. And Russell's like, there's been stories going around where people have been selling tea that has been making people sick because it's not real tea. He's like, no, what we're not doing is this. And he goes, I need to do some research on this. What's up? I heard you talking.
Oh, I was just talking to my mother. She was talking about how we essentially stole her dog.
How did this come up?
It just came up in text messages. We were chatting. Well, come on now. Come on, sweetie.
Well, it's not like we wanted to steal her dog. Zuzu's the one that stole her dog.
No, it's easier. Like Peanut just did.
She's a Peanut and her. Peanut's been a little bastard lately with these dogs. Where he doesn't like this new dog. He keeps like going full Halloween cat mode, arching his back and floofing his tail at her and hissing at her. And he's been being weirdly territorial around this footstool ottoman thing that we have for the dogs to get up and down from our bed, because our bed's not terribly high because it's not sitting on a bed frame, but Zuzu is showing signs of hip dysplasia, so he's having a hard time jumping up on stuff. So we tried to make it a little bit easier since he won't use a ramp. We got a special set of foam steps, but they're not quite the right size for him. And he still hasn't quite figured out how to use them. We had to take out one of the foam blocks, at least it was slightly customizable, so he could use it a little bit easier. But now Peabody is like using it as his personal playground. The ottoman that we have, no, in our room. And he's like dragging himself across the side of it and ripping it to shreds and getting halfway under it and hissing at the dogs, and he's just basically being a dick. In true Peabot fashion. I'm tapping it on the printer paper because then I'll be able to tell if there's any more liquid in it that I didn't get dried out of it, because it'll leave a mark. That's all that's about. So we finished getting our birdie filled in himself. And my goal is to just get this little section finished, where we're currently putting the glue down today. And then next week when we come back to this guy, we'll be able to finish the background on him. And if we have time, start the other one. But see, this is why I wanted to start Christmas gifts early, so we had the time to take our time and not rush. I hate rushing through stuff. I like to be able to take my time. I'm probably gonna have to rip up some more paper here. And this tissue paper does not like me saying words that have the puh sound to them. Every time I do, the paper is trying to go flying. And I am just working on layering this in. Just kind of getting this saturated in the glue. And kind of giving it like the little scrunchied up texture here. It's a little bit wrinkly. It looks a little bit more like leaf background texture. We are having angel hair pasta tonight, and spaghetti sauce, and meatballs. And I saw some frozen garlic bread still in the freezer, so we're going to finish that off. Maybe we'll have enough torn here. Maybe. So I'm just kind of laying this in and scrunching it and smooshing it. Kind of getting it to lay in there in our crevices. A little bit of a glue skin there. Although that did make a slightly open spot when I pulled that up, but that's okay because there's enough glue seeping through. I can lay that guy in on top and we will be fine. Getting the edges is a little tricky because I'm trying to make sure that we've got our paint covered, but I don't want to cover the bark completely. So I might have to add in another dab of glue. Although if you do it thin enough, the paint color shining through might look like light or something. Might look like part of your tree leaves. And then I think one more piece right into here in this open spot. As best as we can. All right, yeah, that's gonna need just a touch more glue. I mean, I could have let it go until we do the Mod Podge, but that particular spot, I did need to make sure it was stuck down fairly well, just because it's gonna have to sit around for a little bit until we get to Mod Podge stage. So we're about halfway done our background. We've got the bottom half and just a little bit here to finish filling in, but we're looking pretty good on Mr. Bird here. And when we get that final layer of Mod Podge in, he'll gloss up a little bit. And he'll be looking pretty good. But that, I think, is going to do it for today. I'm going to stop just a little bit early so we can try to figure out our monitor situation. So thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. Tomorrow we'll be back and we'll be doing more art. Tomorrow we'll be working some more on the husband's axolotl that we're needle felting. We'll start to try to get that body a little bit more fluffed out and get him to be a little bit thicker, because right now, let me see if I can reach him. Like, we're just bare bones right now, so we need to get quite a bit more on there. And of course I just noticed we have an ad going, so I should probably wait around until the ad's done to fully yeet ourselves out of here for the day. But this guy we will pick back up next week. And these guys I can just go ahead and get rid of for now. I mean, if you want to hold on to them, you can. And once the glue dries in the cup, you'll just be able to take, you can even take one of the toothpicks and just kind of get it up under a piece of the glue on the edge, and then it'll pop right out. If you're using like a plastic cup like this, if you're just using a paper plate, then, you know, either keep using it until you're done with the project, or if you're using like a tiny plate, you can just toss it at the end when you're done with it. Whichever is going to work better for you. We didn't end up using the stylus today. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to be working on the axolotl. We still have quite a ways to go on him, so I'm glad we started early. When we get done with this one and the butterfly, we haven't started the butterfly yet. We still have quite a ways to go working on that. When we get done these two, then we'll start my mom's gift. We're gonna do her a rooster, if I can get the right colors together, except hers we're gonna do on an 8x10 canvas. So, you know, roughly the size of our piece of paper here, I think. Or it might be a little bit smaller, but you get the idea. So, that'll be when we're done with these two. Tomorrow, axolotl, needle felting, and then Wednesday, Planet Zoo. So that's going to do it for today. I am going to yeet myself and my headache on out of here, and we're going to try to fix this monitor situation. Thank you guys for hanging out with me this afternoon. I do greatly appreciate it. This project will be archived on the YouTube channel if anybody wants to go back and see it or miss a step or catch up on what you've missed. YouTube channel is the same name as here, just NiseyBGN. Plus you might find some stuff that we didn't stream, like Bear and Breakfast. That is strictly just being recorded and being put up over there. And the live stream archives, and I've got a video up that I recorded when we were at one of the beaches that I clipped together into something usable. So we've got that up over there as well. I still have a couple sunrise videos and a couple sunset videos I still need to edit together, just haven't had the time to yet. But yeah, so I will see everybody tomorrow. Don't forget to follow the social links down below. There's links to the YouTube channel, Instagram, Ko-fi, and Blue Sky. I am still on Twitter, but I'm not going to be doing much there. I'm going to be transitioning off of there for the most part. I'll be primarily over at Blue Sky now. So I will see everybody tomorrow. Have a good night.